The Golden Mask has been a lot of fun to play. I think I'm on record as saying Tomb Raider 2 is one of my favourites, so it's nice to get an extension of that game, and let's face it, who doesn't love Bomber Jacket Lara? It's a very good looking game. Tomb Raider 2 looks good, especially considering it only came a year after the original, but Gold manages to nudge it up a little bit more. Unfinished Business had a few new things, but for the most part they were just recycling graphics from the main game. Here they go one step further and actually create something new. For all my complaints about the Molten Gold, it does give these levels their own unique visual identity. There's also a lot of nice colour variations even within individual levels. Furnace of the Gods, for example, starts off with browns, then blues, then yellow. That being said, no matter how many times I try to tell myself that it's Molten Gold, I keep seeing vomit. The lemon curd paths are a little bit more tolerable, but still, I think this is an example of core design's imagination being better than the end product. That's not to say, however, that the end product is wholly bad. I mean, quite the opposite. There are some really good ideas in here. The Invisible Men freaked me out the first time I encountered them, and I do find it a bit odd that this concept was only ever used first on friendly characters, and secondly in an expansion pack in which significantly fewer people will have played. Imagine having an enemy in one of the main games that was invisible. That would have been a pants-soiling experience. I like that some of the secrets are a bit sneaky, and I'm not just referring to the times in which they seem to be hidden in plain sight, but to the times in which you have to take a bit of a detour and end up in a completely new area. The likelihood of finding all of the secrets first time around is a bit slim, so when you come back a second time, you're not just retracing your steps, but rather going into a new area with its own unique little puzzles and platforming that can add a good extra 20 minutes to the level. It also plays against expectations on occasion, such as the first level in which the third secret is picked up and a group of enemies attacks. It kind of put me on edge a little bit whenever I was picking up the third secret, as I was always expecting something to happen, and I have to confess I'm a little disappointed that nothing else did. I do feel though that there are a few cheap moments that are designed to surprise you to the extent that you will die on the first occasion, such as the snowballs in the first level that are triggered when you pick up an item. Snowmobiles are instant killers, and putting several of them into the game was frustrating, especially in areas in which there was little to no room to actually get out of their way. Much like the main game, the combat is rubbish. Now if you're lucky, you can do the rolling trick, which is to just roll behind the enemy and shoot them in the back while they're turning around. The problem is that their guns seem to fire bullets that can home in on Lara no matter which direction they're fired in. Some of these weapons seem a bit overpowered and can take Lara down to almost no health in seconds. Then at other times enemies are carrying bats and can be mowed down with relative ease. We seem to go from one extreme to the other, nothing ever really feels particularly balanced. As far as platforming is concerned, it isn't always obvious where you can go and what you can step on. While the path to the last secret in Kingdom is sneaky and deliberately so, other times it just feels frustrating. There are times when certain slopes look too steep, and after playing the main game, where the slopes can't be climbed up, it tended to confuse me. Another thing that I do tend to complain about a lot, but it does bother me, is the lack of level-to-level continuity. There is none. You just magically appear in a new area. The end of Fool's Gold has you running towards a hole in the ground. Would it have been so difficult to just have Lara fall down into the hole, and then when Furnace of the Gods opens up with you falling, you get this sense that you're picking up right where you left off? I know you could say that this is just the way games were back then, but the first game managed it just fine, and gave me this sense that I was progressing deeper and deeper into these areas towards each piece of the Skion. The one time a level ended and began in the same spot was the end of Furnace of the Gods and beginning of Kingdom, but that ended up pissing me off as well. That's not the same cage from one level to the next, and if you're going to end and then begin in the same place, make them look the same. Maybe there's some kind of technical issue that prevented them from doing this, but it honestly smells of laziness. which is such a shame because there's so much in the Golden Mask that shows that they weren't lazy and they really were trying to put some effort into it. The one grumble that I think is absolutely legitimate is the combat. The rest is me wanting this to be better than it is, but it is pretty good. As I said before, Tomb Raider 2 is one of my favourites, and so getting to play more of it has been a lot of fun. It's got some fun ideas, some striking visuals, and there's usually more to the levels than is first apparent. It doesn't feel like more of the same. Much like unfinished business before it, it feels more like a step upwards towards the next main game.